Greetings, Panthers. Dr. Augustine again. Today we're going to take a look at the kinetic molecular theory of gases. This is going to cover chapter 6.8, Intro, and we're going to learn a couple of different things. We're going to first talk about the assumptions of gases according to the kinetic molecular theory. We're going to describe the difference between an elastic and an inelastic collision. I'm going to explain what's called the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution of molecular speeds, and hopefully we'll understand trends in molecular speeds versus molecular size and temperature. And finally, we will take a look at diffusion and effusion and how they are related to the kinetic molecular theory. So let's start with some sort of fundamental understanding of what the kinetic molecular theory is. We know we have measurables that we can go into the lab and measure, things like pressure, temperature, volume, etc. These are all macroscopic properties that we can measure. We can get a pressure gauge, thermometer, measure the volume of something. Those are all macroscopic things, but we know that there's the existence of molecules. So we know that somehow there has to be connection between the macroscopic variables like pressure and temperature and things that are happening on the molecular or nanoscale. So that's where this theory comes into play to explain what's happening. And the big picture idea is that molecules are always in motion. And because they're in motion, they have some kinetic energy. Remember, the kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 mv squared. So because molecules are actually moving, each molecule has some kinetic energy associated with it. So our picture might look something like this. We've got all these molecules sitting inside of a container. They're moving around constantly. Some of them are hitting against each other. They're colliding with each other. Some of them are colliding against the wall. And it's these collisions against the wall which give rise to the pressure. The collisions internally have to do with how far these molecules are able to move before they smash into one another. So this theory is named after the fact. Kinetic has to do with the energy of motion, molecular has to do with the energy of motion of molecules, and theory of gases, which is used to explain these macroscopic phenomena that we observe. So we make a couple of assumptions about gas molecules that are important for the kinetic molecular theory. The first assumption we make is the distance between molecules is very, very large compared to the size of the molecule. So in other words, this picture isn't really very accurate. This shows them kind of close together. Actually, there's a large distance between molecules compared to the size of the molecule. Another way of saying this is we can consider each molecule a point. All right, that's the first assumption of the kinetic molecular theory. The second is that the gas molecules are in constant motion. And they frequently collide with one another. And those collisions are completely elastic. So what do we mean by elastic collision? Elastic collision you can think of as like a billiard ball. One ball is moving towards another, they smash into one another, and their energy is transferred without any damage to the molecule itself. Contrast this with an inelastic collision. If you take two objects and smash them together and they both get crushed when they hit each other, that would be called an inelastic collision. An elastic collision, the energy is completely transferred from one to another. So we're going to assume that the gas molecules themselves, when they hit each other, just sort of bounce off each other, and whatever direction and force that they have will get transferred to the adjacent molecule. Third assumption that we make is that gas molecules exert neither attractive nor repulsive forces on each other. In other words, there's no interaction between the gas molecules. When they hit, they just bounce off. They're not attractive, they're not repelled to one another. This we know is not true because gas molecules are made up of protons and electrons. So if two molecules come together and hit each other, the electrons from one molecule can feel the protons from the other and vice versa. So there actually are some attractive forces. And of course, the protons, if you get them too close to each other, will actually repel one another. So we know this isn't true, but this is an assumption we make about the kinetic molecular theory to help explain the phenomena that we observe in the gases. And the final one is that the kinetic energy is directly proportional to the temperature. So if the kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 mv squared, that is proportional to temperature. Now, I'm not going to derive the exact relationship. That's in your book, but it's not really that important as far as I'm concerned for this class. The important result of this is no matter what the mass of your object, of the gas molecule that you have, the velocity will correspondingly scale with it. So if we have two different gases at the same temperature, they're both going to have the same average kinetic energy. The light gas will be moving faster, and the heavy gas will be moving slower in order to get T to be equal no matter what happens. Okay, so those are our assumptions of the kinetic molecular theory. We've already explained elastic versus inelastic collisions. So what's happening at the molecular scale if we were to look at these gas molecules moving? So the first thing we would notice is if we were to somehow magically go down to the molecular scale and look at each of the gas molecules, they would not be moving at the same speed. Some would be moving very fast, some would be moving slow. And the reason is because we have so many different gas molecules, we actually end up with a distribution of speeds. They're not all moving at the same velocity. There is an average velocity, which is called the root mean square velocity. But again, for this class, I'm not going to have you worry about calculating the average velocity. That is in the book, but that's not something I expect you to worry about. But I do want you to recognize that the temperature does scale with this kinetic energy. But if we were to plot this distribution of speeds, we would find out that at a given temperature, let's say 0 degrees C, we would get a distribution that looks like this curve that's drawn in red here. Now you notice this is not quite a bell curve. There's a little bit of a longer tail on the right side. Here's at 1,000 Kelvin, we get the same sort of curve, and here's 2,000 Kelvin. So it sort of looks like a bell curve, but it actually has this tail to the high end of it. So what are we plotting here? This is molecular velocity, so this is the speed of the molecules, and this is the number of molecules, this one happens to be nitrogen, number of nitrogen molecules with the indicated velocity. So this is basically a histogram. It's sort of like your grade distribution or something. And you notice that it looks sort of like a bell curve with this tail on it. This distribution is called a Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution of speeds. And that's a characteristic shape of the distribution of speeds of gas molecules. The key here is this little bit of tail up at a higher speed. Now what this is showing is these are all nitrogens at different temperatures. So if we had the exact same sample of gas and we just heated it up, what we would find is the curve would shift to the right, which means in higher average molecular velocity. We'd also see the curve would start flattening, and the reason is because more of the molecules tend to have higher speed. So as we go to higher and higher temperatures, this curve gets flatter and flatter, but we keep getting more molecules with a higher average velocity. And if we were to look at any particular spot, let's say in this case 2,000 meters per second, at 1,000 Kelvin we wouldn't find any molecules at that speed, but at 2,000 Kelvin we have a fairly significant amount. If we wanted to find out how many we have, we could take the integral under the curve and we would say, all right, how many do we have at 2,000 meters per second or more? The peak of this curve would be that mean speed that we talked about before. So it's really kinetic energy equals to 1/2 mv squared, but it's really the mean speed because we know that we have some molecules that are moving slow, they're down here, some molecules that are moving fast, they're up here. The peak of the curve is the mean speed, and as you can see, as we increase the temperature, the curve shifts further and further to the right. If you've learned any integral calculus, if you take the integral under this curve, for this particular sample, they would all be the same. That's because the number of molecules is the same. So all that's happening is the curve is flattening out. Now, if we were to look at two different size molecules, we'd end up with the same sort of Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution of speeds. So let's pretend we were at the same temperature now. So now we have velocity and number of molecules. And let's pretend we had a heavy molecule and a lighter molecule. So this might be something like SF6, and this might be something like oxygen. So this would be at the same temperature, we would find that the curve is also shifted to the right because the mass is less, so the velocity is going to be more in order to give you the same temperature. Okay, so we could have a curve at the same temperature. Different gases. That's this one here. And this one is different temperature, same gases. And they have the same sort of characteristic shape, this Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution of speeds. All right, next video in this series, we're gonna show a little simulation and talk about, show this in graphical form, and then we're also gonna show diffusion and effusion phenomena.